Hello, hello. I am so excited to show you this Astro Tarot Symbolism Oracle. I ordered these from makeplayingcards.com. So if you're curious about how they ship, I did purchase this box separately. I will leave all the information below about how much everything costs, but I don't think it was more than like $2. And it came flat and I folded it. And so now we've got this cool little box to keep everything safe. And this deck came and it was actually shrink wrapped, but I cut it off so you didn't have to watch that part. Now, there is something really, really cool that I love about this deck, and that it is 3 decks in one deck, okay? So you can use it as an oracle deck, and you'll see there's this beautiful colors here, and these are actually individual pictures. It kind of look like little paintings. I'll show you those in a minute. But there's also a way to use this as a reference guide. And so there are 2 decks like this that have the reference guide in them. And what you do is you take the reference cards, and in this deck there are 6 of them. And you can have these cards set up next to your spread area, your reading area, wherever you are doing readings. If you are new to readings, new to tarot, new to oracle, new to your intuition, and whether you're reading cards or even objects, there is so much information in every little thing that you're looking at that could be coming through that divine might be trying to bring your attention to. But if you don't know what you're looking for, it's really challenging to know what you're missing. And there could be that looming sense of, I don't know what's missing here and I don't know where to look. One of the beautiful things about strengthening your intuition, just by kind of almost like going to school, is to use a tool like this where you can study and say, okay, what does it mean when a solar eclipse shows up in a card? What does it mean when it's autumn? And maybe every card that I've pulled in all these different decks, maybe I'm doing a big spread, everything is showing up as autumn. What does it mean when certain zodiac signs show up, other than that it might be the person that someone is inquiring about, right? There's all kinds of things. And so if you're ever curious, especially if you're learning the tarot, there's even the major arcana reference card. You can lay these out next to your reading area, and you will actually be able to have a quick reference section. You can even just lay them out in one line or put them wherever you need them. And you don't have to put all of them out, but I think it's just an awesome way for people who are trying to strengthen their intuition to do so in the midst of a reading in a really beautiful way. Because you can always, I guess, like write stuff down, but then it gets really messy. Where I think here, you know what you're looking for, and this is just a great mix of things that might show up across an intuitive reading. So this is just one part of it, okay? And technically, you can use these 6 cards as a part of the oracle deck, because if something like this comes up, it might be telling you in a reading like, hey, be on the lookout for planets in the rest of the reading, or something like that. Okay, so we can kind of put these off to the side, but just keep that in mind. And then the third way to use this, and this goes even further into that intuitive training, is as flashcards, okay? And so what you do is you kind of go through, and for every card we have here in the reference section, everything that you have listed back here, there's actually a card that represents it. So we saw that major arcana card. Well, here are the major arcana cards, and they are giving you an opportunity to learn from visuals that are very similar to what you might see in the Rider-Waite, but also give you an opportunity with a little bit of different imagery to capture some more of the nuanced meanings behind the different individual meanings that we would typically know. And on the back, you can study. And so maybe you want to put this down upside down, and you kind of do like a memory game, and you try to think, what do I typically think of in the world card? What is typically seen there? Or you can just go through and say, all right, let me look at the Fool. I'm struggling a little bit with this. I've picked up on as much as I can. Now let me turn this over and study a little bit about it, review it once more. And now I've learned You saw the fool take the little leap there. Now I've learned a bit more about this energy. And so this is something I highly recommend for anyone who has really struggled with going deeper in their readings and messages, or even just understanding readings that they are watching. So if you find yourself watching a lot of readings and maybe even feeling like you might be being led, not necessarily astray, but there's a part of you that questions the interpretations that are coming through, or that maybe you feel like you're being led away from your own interpretation, but you can't quite make it because you're not certain of what it is that you're seeing. Knowing the intuitive meaning behind as much information as possible of what you're going to be dealing with pretty consistently on your journey or in the tarot sphere, I think can really change the game. So whether this is something that you want to do on a personal level or even a professional level, whether you want to use these cards at home or if you're a reader, you can see how boldly these cards show up. There is a little bit of a glare in the light, but that's just because of my placement right now. I'm in a new setting, and so my light is directly above my head, and that's not normally happening where I sit. But I will tell you, if I'm holding them correctly, they are gorgeous. Very, very, very bold. Okay, so let's look at our different, so we have planets, astrology, zodiac, animals, textures, major arcana. Okay, so there's our training cards, and all of these come with instructions. And so we'll split these out. So we have major arcana. I think I looked at these a second ago. I mean, just absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous cards. All right. And then we've got animals. I thought this one was pretty. Okay. We've got textures, which I think is such a good reminder. This is something that we often forget to look at. And if there's repetitive stuff showing up across decks, across cards, I think that it's important to be able to see beyond just what we would typically look at, like the numerology or even colors, but to go a little bit deeper. Okay, let's see. We have the zodiac. Beautiful. I love these. And then we've got these really bold cards with the planets, and they actually have the symbols. And so if that's something that you've ever struggled with, is making that match, that link between, I just think the way that these are set up can help so much with anybody who's struggled. Okay. And so I love these. And I think what's really cool is that combined with the other deck that's like this, that is the Spiritual Synchronicities Oracle. When you pair those two, what you'll have is, I think, probably at least 30 or 40 really beautiful, colorful cards. And then you've got the cards like this that, these are a bit more similar, right? But it's really cool because it's got the full zodiac. And then in the Spiritual Synchronicities, they have, I think, numbers 1 through 10. There's certain things that I think can be put together that create a really, really unique deck that can provide some very specific clarity. And then there's also just some, absolutely gorgeous cards that I just think they're just really nice to look at. So if you're interested, I will put everything you need to know to access these cards on makeplayingcards.com, which is where they would ship from directly, or you can get them on Etsy, or you can get them on the Ascension Spiritual Coaching site on the print shop, the Ascent print shop. So if you're interested, please do check them out. But I will be using these on the Reunion This Lifetime channel, as well as the Awakening Divine channel and the Passions Path channel. So if you're interested in seeing these decks showing up, that is where you will find them in use. And I hope that you will consider buying these, if not for yourself, but for someone who might need this reference guide. Because if you combine this reference guide with the 9 cards from the Spiritual Synchronicities guide, or if you combine all these flashcards or even just combine these as an oracle deck and pick and choose even what cards you want to include. I just think this is such a fabulous idea for someone who wants to make the most of things and maybe might even be trying to get away from the tarot, but still want some of those insights. I just think there's just so much that can be done with this, especially with the idea of building your own deck or gathering the information that you need at a given time. So hopefully this has been helpful to you if you've been curious about these, and I will talk to you later. See you. Love you.